we are talking right after the season with our Academy's director, Julian Betko, after this youth season. And please tell me, first of all, what does it mean, seize the moment?
Seize the moment. I think that it's something that we've talked about throughout the playoffs and Final Four, and it's basically helping the player to understand that he has to live in the moment, not to think about the past or the future, and just focus on what the priority is, and it can get that down to as close as every single possession, you know, to seize the moment and be the best you can be for whatever your team needs you to do. You know, I think that's a big part of team success. But I think that this year, you know, we've had situations where guys maybe didn't really seize the moment the way we would, as staff, like them to.
Mm-hmm. It was like also challenging year for us, you know, 5 different teams, new people, new coaches. What had we faced this season?
Yeah, well, every season is a challenge. You know, if you're striving to be the best and you want to work hard and have success, you know, you're going to make mistakes along the way, and you're going to have to analyze those mistakes, move on in a positive direction. And I think I would say we played in the 5 different leagues with 3 different groups, because a lot of these groups have played multiple leagues. But they all faced challenges. I mean, I can start with the youngest group, which was our under-17 Extraliga team. And, you know, because we operate the way we operate, meaning we do not know who's going to be playing for that team next season. So how do you really prepare? You know, how do you get the team together in August and do conditioning preparations and everything? Everything is delayed with our team. And, you know, for many reasons, we only open up the season with 9 players on the roster. And that's a huge challenge for coach. And, you know, we had to play a slower tempo. We had some guys that we couldn't afford to lose for any games. And I was very, very satisfied with work of coaches and players, how that team was able, despite the fact half the season we played with 8 or 9 guys, finished 4th in the league. And then obviously the addition of 3 new players that came to us in January, they made us a contender, I thought, for the highest rankings in the league. But you know, unfortunately, in the playoffs, we've met, in my opinion, probably as talented, if not more talented, team that we've had. And you know, it was a close battle, and we came out short. So a lot of lessons to be learned from that team. But the challenges that they had to go through were enormous. So I'm overall very, very happy with the progress of the players and the basketball we were able to play for most of the season. Our U19 Extraliga Pelhřimov team, you know, the challenge there was that basically the players had to play the men's league in Prva Liga and U19 Extra League, and to be able to play 3 games back to back to back every 2 weeks is very challenging physically and mentally. And you know, they were doing a great job in Extraliga U19. You know, finishing 1 win short of reaching Final Four. And obviously in the men's league, we were trying to get them as much experience with all the guys as possible. We didn't win many games there, but I thought, you know, winning is not everything. And guys got good reps and valuable experiences, but it was challenging, that is for sure. So very happy with what Pelhřimov team has done as a group. And then obviously we had our U19 Lions team, which was our Extraliga team, and then obviously a lot of those guys also play for the men's team. Challenge here was that we are not a group that is together for a long time, right? We face competitions where guys have been together for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and we start a year every year. And to have guys, you know, starting the year together, you know, we had many players that came first season, like Davisloviak, Ben Navratio, Pasha, Rokas, you know, all these guys never played together. And then what was unfortunate, but I think long term was for the betterment of everybody, is that we had to change their roles on the men team during the season, when we decided as an organization that we might want to let some older players go play in different clubs and increase the roles of the young guys, which was difficult because half the season they had one role, and then second half of the season they had to have another role and another role within the U19. So to manage that psychologically and playing wise was not an easy was not an easy thing to do. And I thought overall, again, our standards are the highest as far as championships, but I think finishing second in the country, despite all the injuries and all the challenges we had with what I just talked about, I think looking back at it, I'm very pleased with that group. And yes, we could have been champions again, but I think that we have to turn that into a positive, and that means recruiting, that means lessons that we learned from this year, and definitely increased hunger for success. I think that's very important at the age group of 18, 19, 20, where, in the long-term athlete development model, the players are learned to win. This is the stage of their age where they are learning to win, and I think that they received a humongous amount of lessons in that sense.
So please tell me about the Final Four, which we were hosting it in our city in Jichów Hradec.
Yeah, that was an amazing event. I was very, very happy that was our final competitive event. Obviously, we earned the right to have it at home by winning the conference. Obviously, we entered the tournament as a favorites, but a couple of our important players were not fully healthy. And with that being said, we had some guys just did not perform the way we would desired or they desired, and that's part of the sport. So after incredible semi-final game against Tigri Brno, where I felt played very dominantly and entered the finals, but I was excited about not just the way we play, but the atmosphere in the gym and the attendance. I think it was 600-700 people in the gym, and that's just great for these kids on both teams to play in front of a crowd like that and have a major role. Obviously, second semifinal was also interesting. It was a very close game up till the halftime, and it was a nice basketball, and it's hard to scout who you're going to play next day when halftime is so close. But then obviously Brno has pulled away with their experience and talent, and we faced them again in the finals, and this time around, I have to say, for many reasons, as I mentioned already, they were better than we were on Sunday, and it was a disappointing loss for us, again in front of a great crowd, and we became co-champions. Congratulations to Brno, and I told my players that you win some, you lose some, but what you do at both situations is what's going to define your long-term success, and that's the way we got to look at it. And just thankful to Czech Basketball Federation for support that they gave us to run the event, and obviously to the city of Jichów Hradec that is standing behind us in our academy, and just very thankful that we had a chance to have it at home. And I thought it was a very successful event globally, not necessarily sports-wise.
You know the best from the player's perspective, how to handle those feelings which might be right now in players' heads, so how to handle that?
Well, I kind of flipped the question a little bit. What I think is very important is that you don't generalize everybody. Everybody is different. Everybody has different emotions. Everybody thinks the game differently. Everybody is more or less afraid of failure, or they start having the if questions during the game. What if we lose? What if I don't make this? Everybody is different, and this is something that I've learned over the course of my career, is that I cannot look at everybody and have them think what I think. So, I did have experience with big games in my career. I was blessed enough, and I didn't always handle the situations the best I could now with the knowledge and experience, and that's natural way of growth. But to be honest with you, what I love about what we do when pressure comes is that we try to really, for a long term, teach the kids the word next. And I think that whether you just made a shot or you just missed it, or whatever good or bad just happened on the court, don't focus on what just happened, think about the next. And I think that the players that are able to do this and not shaking their confidence in the game are usually the ones who have the more consistent production and performances.
It's also connected with this positive mindset you were talking in the locker room to the guys?
Well, it's easy to say on the camera, but yes, over the long course of the season, we try to be obviously more on the positive side, but it's not always easy because these kids, they are going through a lot, and they are all different, and they have different backgrounds, and they are emotionally different and they have different troubles, whether it's school or it's, you know, girlfriends and parents' opinions and agents' opinions, and everybody has something to say. So to manage it in a positive direction daily is a challenging thing that that we continuously talk about how to get better at.
Okay, let's get back to the challenges for a while. You mentioned that we are challenging something each year. So what are the challenges waiting for us right now and during the summer?
I mean, you can answer that question from many different angles. You know, what is our challenges economically? What is our challenging player personnel-wise? What are our challenges staff-wise? What are our challenges to be better overall? You know, so it's really a broad question that could be answered with many words. But I think obviously the number one challenge is we have to sign players and secure our economic budget. Obviously, we would want the players to be the best they can be, but as I mentioned many times, our door to our academy is open to anybody who has a strong desire to give everything to basketball and through basketball become a better student, become a better person, grow and mature, you know, and just develop as a person. So, you know, if we get 12 guys that want to work very hard and then they want to be successful and they want to be better people and be, you know, accomplish something in life, but they are not very talented basketball players, then, you know, we might lose. You know, we might lose, and we have to accept that. And that's just the way we are structured and financed. But the number one challenge is how do you stay competitive and make it work economically in the academy. And then obviously we were blessed this year, and for the last couple of years really to have a great staff from management through marketing to coaching to strength and conditioning. And I think that another challenge is to make sure that the people that are valuable are staying and continue to work and believe in what we're doing.
Yeah, so how is academy functioning right now?
Well, you know, we have cycles within what we want to do during the year, and we just finished the focus on the team cycle. And now for the last 2 months, we are really going heavily into the individual needs of each player, things that you might not be able to work in a high game volume. But you can zoom in on it now. There's no really pressure to perform, and we can do things that might be uncomfortable, whether we're talking about, you know, muscle memory or improving body or whatever movement, whatever we need to work on. So next 7 to 8 weeks for players that are not going to go to national teams, we're really just going to work on individual needs. And obviously weekends will be a little bit less demanding because no games, but we will work daily, at least, you know, 6-7 workouts a week on the floor to make the players better.
Yeah, so what was the challenges for you personally this season?
For me personally?
Yeah.
I mean, every season is a challenge. I don't feel like this year's was any bigger than ever since we started 10 years ago. But again, I guess if I would have to answer honestly, the biggest challenge for me is that we not only trying to grow players, but we also trying to grow coaches and give them the opportunity to put their footprint on the program. And, you know, their way of thinking or their way of doing things might be a little bit different than what I would do if I'm in the head position. So for me, as a guy that is responsible for everybody, it's not always easy when I might disagree with what the coach wants to do or what he's doing, but I cannot overstep him because it would not be good for the energy within the organization. So the big challenge for me was to help guide all the coaches and be the assistant to everybody. And that goes also on a personal level with everybody in the company. And it's not always easy, and that is a challenge, and it's going to continue to be a challenge because I want people that work here feel that they have their footprint and then they have their word on everything that we are doing. But we have to stay within the lines of what the GBA is about, and that's to balance that and to communicate that is a challenge for me personally.
Okay, so what is GBA about?
Well, what is it about? You know, I think there has been a lot of things on the internet, whether it's interviewed or people can just read in the atmosphere, the work ethic, the passion from everybody involved, that I think is pretty simple. What is GBA is that we give attention and we work very, very hard with the most talented kid the way we do with the least talented kid. And I think that that's a special because you don't get that everywhere. And what I also love is the friendships that I see build between maybe players that are not very talented with the best ones. And to me, that's a powerful thing going forward, because many of our alumni are staying in touch. They become friends, and they are all over the world, and they are connected in some ways. Obviously, can't be best friends with everybody, but I think that relationships that are built here, the mental growth that players experience, and their basketball development as a mixture to be the best that they can be, is what GBA is trying to be, and I think that we are.
Like a GBA family.
You can call it family, but everybody uses the word family, and a lot of times it's cheesy. A lot of times it's just marketing. But to me, family is that, and I see it every year. As we get together and they learn each other's names. A lot of people are not going to share their emotions. They are not going to feel comfortable talking. They are not going to receive the information being shared. There's a lot of issues, right? But we are still trying to be a family. And then at the end of the year, when I see guys stepping up and even being nice or being tough on each other in games or in halftime, but it's very well received. And that's what family is, right? Like, everybody uses the word family, but I argue probably the most in my family. I get in confrontations probably the most with my brother and my father and my mother, you know what I mean? But we are loving each other. And I think to build that within the group setup, and again, different background and different ambitions and everything, it's interesting to watch. But I think that I'm comfortable saying that we are building as good of a family as we can have on the basketball court.